Hey up lads and lasses, Damphyre here, back again with some more Infinite Lagrange. Today I'm going to be talking and doing a small quick guide on the Angulum server, because I've noticed in the Star System chat, a lot of people going, how do you do this, how do you do that, and that kind of stuff. Obviously a lot of players have been in here already and worked that out by the time I've got here, but should help players trying to get in now. So first off, this is your team base. As you can see on my screen, this is where, you'll be sending your fleets from, building your fleets and stuff like that. You share this with other players, the other guys that you brought in. You can see here we have Grey, MTG, Onyx and Desmond in with me. And the camp center, obviously probably the most important part here, is where you're going to sort of apply your blueprints. Now the way that this works is you can't have the blueprint built, like any ships built, within your main server. If you are in a main server, if you're in the hub, don't worry about it. And it resets the tech points back down to 0. So any experience you've acquired in the server, you lose all that, you don't get that, but you do keep the permanent tech points on the ships. You have 4 shipyards, 1 super cap, 3 standard, and an aircraft shipyard. And these have a certain amount of slots that you can add. As you can see here, I can't add any here because we're on 8. Be very damn careful with this. Work this out with your team. Who's going to bring in what blueprints and what blueprints you're going to be using. Because once you hit that max 8 out of 8, you can't remove blueprints. As far as I'm aware, I've tried a few things now to try and pull blueprints out that aren't being used. Can't do it. So be careful of that. Talk to your guys beforehand, make a list, and make sure you put in the blueprints on the right slots. You are limited to 8 super capital ships, because this is the only dock that can build super caps, battle cruisers, carriers. So be very, very cautious about where you're putting your blueprints and where you're putting your ships. Now, due to how devastatingly difficult some of the areas are within the actual Angulum server itself, which I'll talk about a bit later on. Requirements to bring in are battle cruisers. You absolutely and utterly need them to be able to tank and supply enough damage onto enemies. Now, there are specific ones that I'm going to mention here. Eternal Storm, if you've got the Siege Torpedo system, is very, very good in this server. Spear of Uranus is extensively good. It's got fantastic tanking capabilities. On top of that, it's got the best siege damage out of the fleets. It is slow, but you're just going to have to deal with it because it's all basically a requirement if you're attempting to solo any of the ruins. CTGs, I don't think you can ignore them for this one, and PvP's not too big of a thing in here. There are pirates being dickheads, but the same with everywhere else in the game at the current moment. So just be aware of that the CTGs may not be necessary, but you may want to bring them in because there is some players being idiots. So just be aware of that and take CTGs maybe just in case. But the Spear and the Eternal Storm, if you've got for the Eternal Storm the Siege Torps, bring that in. It's going to help you out quite a bit. Its movement speed is going to help you out a lot because you are slow traveling most of the time. The Spear, just even at base, is pretty decent. Its tank's going to help you out. It's got more siege damage than pretty much all the other battle crews and stuff like that. Now, I've mentioned siege damage, and that's because siege damage is extremely important in this server. And unfortunately, things like the Noma Siege and stuff like that are just not going to cut it. You really do almost require the Siege IO to be able to potentially solo anything. At the current moment, I brought my SD-59s. They're on front row with heavy armor, all the armor I can possibly get with Siege IOs. So yeah, and I can solo a level 3. I can't touch a level 5. One of the guys with us that can take a level 5 has a spear, I believe with the heavy armor as well, and he's got about 50-60 points, so he can max out the armor on it. But yeah, it's doing better than my SD-59 with 100 and something odd points in it. Actually, you can even see mine down here somewhere. Yeah, V2.24, and Onyx is 0.48 on his spear. So you can see that my SD59 with far more tech points is struggling, and he's able to solo level 5s with a mix of spear and siege IO. On mine, on the other hand, I can't. So siege is going to be an absolute requirement. So on your capital shipyards, the ones at the back here, I highly recommend building, or if you've got it, siege type IOs. Even my maxed ones here are struggling a bit. I'm losing them on level 3s. I lose like about half of them soloing a level 3. My SD59s are alive, but they don't seem to get targeted over the siege IO for some reason, but it is what it is. Some other notable ones that aren't too bad. The artillery type CAS has a decent siege potential. Also, the KCCPV 2.0, the railgun version, has good siege potential. And you're going to need that kind of cruiser level siege to be able to deal with the level 3s and the level 5s. I haven't even tried a level 7 because I can't do a level 5. So there's sort of the ships that I recommend. So spears, Eternal Storm with torps, spears apparently, if you have the healing UAVs, the heavy armor, and then you have got your siege type IOs. Apparently you can solo 7s with that setup. The person I heard that from is got like V3 spears. So, take that as you will. You basically need to be like a pretty serious whale to get to that point. So yeah, bear that in mind. You will generally going to have to be sort of helping each other out a little bit if you want to do anything higher than a level 3. If you're, even similar to me with maxed IOs and a pretty hefty SD59, I still need help doing a level 5. So do bear that in mind as well. I haven't tested it, but there's a potential of using something like the CV3K and bringing in bullfrogs. They have good siege potential. Vitus B's also pretty decent siege potential. So there is an argument for bringing in some carriers here as well. Maybe some CV3Ks, and with the added large docks and stuff on them would potentially help. So there's a few ships you can bring in there that might help you out and stuff like that. But yeah, detrimentally, make sure you're talking to your guys first. Make sure that you have your blueprints configured sort of prior to you getting in, so you know what's going to go on the super capital shipyard, and what's going to go onto these 3 other capital shipyards in your aircraft shipyard if you are going to bring in some aircraft. So basically, it's pretty simple to build ships though. You click the plus button, you join the queue. Even if there's ships being built, you can do that and it'll just queue them up behind the other ships being built. So if someone's, say, building an SD59, but you want a spear out, you can queue your spear up. So when their SD59 finishes, your spear comes out. Build speeds are increased in this. They are faster. You also have like 300 something odd prefabs, so you can just rush ships out. You get loads of prefabs as well, so just rush stuff out if you want to, or if you got somebody waiting. Obviously, if you're going away overnight or something, just stick stuff on. Try and get guys in the same time zone. It does help out with joint operations a little bit and that kind of stuff. My port, pretty simple. This is just where you get to see your fleets. You can speed up your repairs, and this is where you can also put your sort of aircraft into their respective hangars. So that's about it, though. Other than that, in the camp center, you have the Nomad trading post where you can get the ID of Karen. I've got a little video coming out on that tomorrow, so have a look for that. Also get camp supplies. These just provide you with supply. Bear in mind that you do need this currency for buying ships a little bit sometimes, so I wouldn't particularly pick these camp supplies up, but you can in a pinch. Prefab modules for days as well. And like I said, you get like absolutely tons of prefabs, like to no extent. It's not an issue. You sat on 300 and they seem to ramp up pretty quick. So other than that, You don't really generate resources, as you can see. We're pulling in 8,000, 1,300 of metal, crystal, and deuterium, but it's not really enough to sort of build anything. So let's jump over on how to collect resources, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So before talking about resources, let's talk about how you get into the system. You can just warp in and it'll put you near the edge somewhere and stuff like that. But that will limit you to a fleet size of about 200, I believe it is. What you want to be doing is looking for these green spots. These will allow you to transfer larger amounts sometimes, so just keep an eye out. Some of them are only 200, but there are some larger ones that will allow you to go up to 350 CP. They are the ones you want. It's almost a requirement to bring a 350 size fleet in here. I tried a level 3 at 200, and that's basically 8 Siege IO and a couple of Noma support for heals. And yeah, they couldn't solo a level 3 at max. So be aware of that. Look for these green icons. They're going to be what you're looking for to bring your fleets in. And look for the one that's say 350, not 200. And you'll be as good as gold there. Now, for collection and stuff like that, if you zoom in here, you will see flying things that are flying around. If you click on them, come on game, you'll see a nice line going through them. These are things you can collect. I highly recommend just collecting anything above level 8. They have a chance of giving at least large or damaged large, and up to 10, which just give a nice large box, which is quite a lot of resources that you'll pick up. And the best way to do it is, as you can see, this is actually moving, and they all are. Asteroids, everything is moving in here. So what you tend to try and do is work out the sort of direction it's coming from, plonk your operation down in front of it, move your fleet in front, and as it gets closer, make sure your fleet's like directly in front of it. Don't worry about AP wastage. You get 25 per hour. You're probably never going to use all of it. And then once it gets close enough into what your operation, hit collect, your fleet will fly into it and it will collect. It'll hold it in its storage. At that point, you can just keep doing that. And this is what I recommend for the first day or two. Sort of scout about a little bit, try and find locations. Like I've got a couple of pin locations here where the enemy, the relics or the ruins are. So you're going to try and get into those positions, and you'll see these trails coming off them. Follow the trail and you'll get to where you want to be. As you can see here, I actually warped this fleet in down here because this was a 350. This one that was closer was only a 200 CP. So I made sure to get down in sort of a better one, even if it took me a bit longer. And yeah, this thing's got SD59s in, so it's slow. It's like 3-hour flight time. Over there. The flight times are definitely sped up a little bit, because I'm pretty certain in a standard server that would have taken like 5 or 6 hours. I think it's like double speed. Also to note, your warp speed is about the same as reinforcement speed, to and in and out. So it's actually pretty fast. So you do get a chance to play this a little bit more actively than you would the general servers. So with that covered, and with how to collect resources covered, like you got the collect button there, just get in front of it. I recommend here, actually, one of the other ships I didn't mention that's actually really good is AC721s with the upgrade on the storage section. You can build like 15 of them or something that brings you up to about 500,000 storage, I think, or something like that. And yeah, use those. They're super, super fast, so you can get in the way of these wreckages really easily and collect and just fill that thing up for a couple of runs, and you could build a full fleet of battle cruisers and cruisers like nobody's business and have leftover. Again, keep an eye out for level 8 and up. They are the ones I recommend picking up. You can pick them all up at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter that much. If you're going to do it for a day or maybe 2 days, and then your sort of last 3 days are going to be hitting the ruins really hard with your teammates, that's what I'd recommend doing personally. I think that's what we've worked out would be the better way of doing it, because then you've got loads of resources to fall back on to replace ships and all that kind of stuff. So we'll jump into the ruin stuff next. Once this fleet in the next 2 hours gets over there, and I'll talk a little about the ruins, and I'll show you the kind of damage that they are outputting, and they are ridiculous. This is not a new player friendly server whatsoever. I highly recommend coming in here once you've got maybe 4 or 5 servers under your belt. You've got plenty of tech points, and you have the capability to do some serious siege damage. Because I don't think even if you had 5 players with no siege and stuff like that would do particularly well. Although, that being said, there is an argument for Carillion Special here as well as a sort of front row tank, because the dodge rate's so good on them, the thing can't bloody hit the fleet. So there you go. Anyway, I'll talk to you a little bit when we get into the ruin. So we are over by a ruin. So this is what I was talking about when I was mentioning that you're looking for these sort of trails when flying around. These sort of trails will lead you to a ruin. As you can see, looks like there was another one up here a second ago, but I don't know what's happened there. Might be a graphics bug or something like that. But yeah. So you're looking for these trails. They will lead you to a ruin. And then if you click on the ruin, you can hit I. And we'll see what it sort of contains. So Imperial detect UAVs, generic image recorders, encrypted data, and potential of damage black market tech files. Now, I haven't managed to get a black market tech file yet. I've just been really unlucky. One of the other guys that's hitting mostly level 5s has got way more than me. Well, I've 0. He's got some. So definitely way more. Damage black market tech files. They all say recommend command points 350. As far as I've seen so far, I've seen level 3s, level 5s, and level 7 ruins. Level 5s, you certainly need a spear with some points into to take on. Level 7s, solo. This is not team. Solo, level 7s. As far as I've seen, the only person to do 7s has maxed out spears, or near enough maxed out spears with heavy armor, healing UAVs, and the bigger cannons and all sorts of stuff on it. So bear that in mind. These are exceedingly hard, and like looking at my blueprints here, so this is my ST59 setup. I'm hitting 730 armor. I've maxed out the HP as much as I can. I've got it on the front row to try and help tank, so the IOs stay alive a bit longer. We have siege IOs here. These are more or less maxed out. I think I'm missing some damage on the Vigan cannon, but that's about it, really. Everything else is sort of maxed out. Armor systems with HP, and I've actually got energy resistance. I should really switch one of these to the physical resistances, but I keep forgetting, and that'll help keep it alive a bit longer. The enemies you fight in the ruins seem to only do physical damage. There's no energy damage, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Very simple. Click on the ruin, hit collect, same as with trying to collect from the debris that are floating about. Hit confirm, and your ship will start flying towards it. And on its path, it will eventually hit a point where the enemy defense platform will spawn. And I'll show you a bit of the battle footage there of that. This is not an ideal fleet. Again, I think spears are better in place of the ST59 here, even with all the mods and stuff I've got running there. They just seem to survive considerably longer. They do tank a lot better than the ST59s. The ST59s, though, are like considerably cheaper to get out. So there is that argument to still running ST59s over them. And like I said, the Eternal Storm would be good in this spot as well, I believe, due to the fact that you've got the Siege Torp mod, which is pretty decent. So let's have a look at this battle. So as we can see, all we can see of the defense platform is its HP. There's nothing else sort of here. You can see that the reason we're using the Siege IO is because it is counting as a city or outpost, so the sustained damage output strategy on the Siege IO is working here. So it's continuous firing duration of the main cannon by 60%, so it just gets way more damage output out. But as you can see, sort of everything is being hit, mostly IOs though. This one's taking a bit of damage. I've got some Noma out. The thing does seem to have either missiles or torps, so it is hitting back row stuff. So there's a potential here for maybe using maybe Reliat mid-row to tank for the Noma, stealth Reliats. Something around that sort of mark might work quite well. Again, it's got cannons, so they're going to be hitting front row ships. So there's an argument potentially for using a Carillion front row, so they can just tank for, well, near enough ever, especially if you've got Noma there. I doubt this thing has the hit rate to deal with a special Carillion front row. But I'm bringing in what I've got point-wise, my best siege potential. So you could do, you know, special Carillion and then bring in RT Cass, which I believe are mid-row or back row. And that might do considerably better at being able to tank and get through. I'm just taking, you know, the sheer damage potential that I have siege-wise. And it, you know, it's completely fine versus a level 3. It's definitely not worth enough to do level 5s, though, which is a bit unfortunate. So, level 5s, in comparison, as you can see here, this thing is just chunking its way through IOs. This one's managed to get healed back up enough to go back to the front row, so it'll be able to retreat back to the mid row in a bit. But I've almost lost my Nomas anyway. I just throw these Nomas in because I had a bit of spare CP, because I flew through a 350 zone, and I didn't have enough of SD59s to fill in. Otherwise, I'd probably fill it with SD59s and forgo the Noma on the basis that the ST-59s will be able to add some more damage and hopefully take this thing down faster. But yeah, so I will show you the results of this battle once it's complete, and yeah, go from there. Right, so here we are. Collection is complete, and just to give you an idea, let's have a look. So there we go. We can see we've got a couple of the more rarer ones from this area. No black box still, because the game hates me. But yeah, you will have a better time getting black boxes from level 5s, level 7s. So just be aware of that. And yeah, so you've come in, maybe you've grabbed some of these resources from one of these flying wreckages or something, or you've grabbed from one of the ruins. What do you do now? Well, to get back, it's pretty simple. Find your closest little green mark. In this case, it's going to be this one for me. Right click and return to camp, and your fleet will fly back. And as you can see, the warp is already set up to go straight back to your camp. Once you're collected, that'll add to the points progress and that sort of stuff. And yeah, that's about it. The points are limited to 8,000, and the points are per person, not for the group. So bear that in mind if you want to get the 8,000 to pick up the, well, anything within the whatchamacallit, you'll get 50 rewards for doing 8,000. It's a little bit too much, in my opinion, like the amount of points. Like, I've managed to do a few of these, and I haven't got that many points, and then I've got pirated a couple times, and yeah, so I've lost resources, and yeah, it's just a pain. The other big problem is the player base. Like I said, I've been pirated, which means, you know, I've got a siege fleet set up. They're just running around with PvP fleets. So you don't stand a chance, but, you know, it's part of the game, I guess, at the end of the day. I'm still going to call them dickheads. So there you go. So yeah, once you're done, get yourself back, you'll do the collection, and once the server ends, which I think's today anyway, for me, I will sort of go through the black boxes and stuff. I didn't pick any up, but I'll get some screenshots of some that have been picked up, and I'll talk about them and give you my opinions, and that'll be the end of the video, because there's some opinions for certain. Yeah, especially to do with the black boxes and what I've heard so far and what I've seen so far, it's not good. So, yeah, let's jump over to that bit and we'll finish the video there. So we are sort of back into the normal server and stuff like that. I didn't actually get any boxes. Unfortunately, I wasn't active. Well, too active anyway. But Onyx, thankfully, was, and he has got some boxes. So, going to show you what his box looked like. These are the damaged black boxes from the Angulum server. And yeah, so they'll be up on screen for you. As you can see, First one you open, it had a blueprint in. These have got the same drop rate as the standard black boxes, but they cost you Proxima, which, yeah. So, as you can see here, you get 2 free sort of picks. You can just pick the 2 free ones, and then anything after those 3 costs you Proxima. First one costs you 200 Proxima. The third node would be 200 Proxima. The fourth node will cost you 800, and it just increases like ridiculously. I believe the one after that's 1500 Proxima, and then 2500 Proxima, which is just insane. So that is some of the rewards. Obviously, you can see the other rewards in game. Just go up to the reward screen in the Galaxy thing for them, and you'll find the stuff there. It's, the skin and stuff like that. Bear in mind that with 8,000 points, you only get 50 points to spend in that shop. So, yeah. Let's talk. Well, yeah, let me give me some opinions and stuff like that about Angulum and how I sort of feel about it and where it can certainly be improved. So, let's jump over to that. So, my opinions on the Angulum server, I'm not, I enjoyed it. The difficulty was fun, it was interesting, because, I just got battered around. But the difficulty to a point where it goes to, if you're trying to solo stuff, it's a requirement to have spears and have plenty of tech points into it, really limits the value of going into the Angulum at all. I recommend that unless you're like P7, P8 free to play, or you are a whale and you have plenty of tech points into spear, and you have, at least the heavy armor mod, probably want the healing UAVs on there as well for the spear. I would recommend not touching Angulum at all. If you're P1, P2, P3, P4, forget about it. You're just not gonna do particularly well. At the very minimum, you need to be able to probably solo the level 3s, and then you just try and farm that level 3, as often as you can to hit that 8,000 points to get the rewards. But yeah, it's weird. It's like, I'm running in with ST59, 720 armor, 8 max CGIOs with them as well. And so it's like 4 ST59s in the fleet. And I can get through a level 3, but, a level 4, I did find out between recording this and the last parts of the video that there are other levels. I just never found them. So there are level 2s, there are level 5s. I don't know about level 6s. There are level 7s. I don't know anything past level 7s either. But yeah, certainly if, you're going in and you've got different time zones, so you're going to be on different times to the rest of your 4 guys, definitely, think about maybe just ignoring Angulum until you've got a position where, you've got decent spears and you've got CGIOs. I think CGIOs are pretty much a requirement as well, just because of the amount of siege damage necessary. I'd like to, if the devs, to make a suggestion to the devs that it'd be something like, well, allow just normal damage to go through, but then at the same time, you just run the PvP fleets and stuff like that. Speaking of PvP, if you see guys that are just hanging around ruins and stuff like that, don't even bother collecting from them. Move to a different ruin somewhere else. It's just not worth the hassle. They'll either attack you while you're collecting, or they'll wait for you to finish collecting, and stuff like that. So just ignore them. Let them do their thing. Just go past them and leave those ruins completely alone, so they don't get any rewards. Because all they've done is they've just put a PvP fleet together to blow up your siege fleet. Because no competition there. So it's not really PvP. It's just guys just being idiots, really. So you can just ignore them completely. So yeah, like I said, if you see someone hanging around, you see someone going in for an attack, just emergency retreat. If they're attacking you while you're attacking the platforms, just emergency retreat. You'll get no rewards, but neither will they. So they've wasted their time as much as they have yours. So there's that, because their PvP fleet will never be able to take on any of these ruins. This not set up for siege damage. So yeah, there's that as well. Now, for the rewards, so the one I showed off is a better one. It's 200 Proxima, and he got a blueprint out of it. So, okay, fair enough. That's, not too bad. The fact that it's now 800 Proxima for a node after that is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that it's a Proxima reward in the first place, I think, is ridiculous. You're getting standard black boxes, basically. You're paying Dawn points to get in. So, you're already putting a cost up to go into this server just to get basically what you would get from the 150 boxes, which you just get daily anyway. Okay, you can potentially get a blueprint for 200, and that's reasonable, But say that blueprint is 4 or 5 nodes in. You have to, you got your 2 free nodes, then you pay 200 for your 3rd node, and to get to that 4th node, you're paying 800 Proxima. It's a terrible trade-off at that point, unless it's something like maybe a battle cruiser or a carrier. Maybe you could argue to an extent a cruiser as well, but yeah, it's not worth it. So I think the rewards need to be completely revamped. I would say that if they are desperate to keep the Proxima in there, then if you open a black box crate that's got a blueprint in it, it's a 200 Proxima cost. If you open a crate and it's got nothing in it, it's no cost. You just get to unlock all the nodes. I think that's the fairest way of doing it. Ideally, I think, because these are, Dawn Point related, or even Proxima, you can pay Proxima to get into the Angulum clusters as well. I think that they should, I think they should either remove the Proxima purchases from Angulum or remove the Proxima reward cost to opening those boxes. So, what did I enjoy about it? I enjoyed the fact that you got everything moving around. That's a bit of fun, trying to catch your resources and stuff. It does mean the gameplay's a little bit tedious. Again, I'm running SD59 to get to the ruins and stuff, which is just, it's long. It's a long time, and spears are the same speed of it as SD59s. So if you are trying to do, the solo 5s and stuff like that, because you got good spears, you still sat there for, you warp into a 350 zone and you could be a 6-7 hour flight away to the nearest ruin that you found. And yeah, it's just too long, in my opinion. They need to allow, the CGIOs maybe to deal with up to level 3s and 4s without having to have SD59s to back them up. Or I don't know what they really need to do. But at the same time, you're reducing the amount of storage capacity and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. But like I said at the start of the opinion bit, I wouldn't bother unless you're, phase 7s or 8s and you have CGIOs at a minimum. And then if you wanted to try and solo, level 5 ruins and stuff like that, you have to have spears. It's just a pure requirement at the end of the day. Again, I didn't get to test some other things. I didn't get to test Eternal Storms. I've spoken to someone that tried to run like a special Carillion style fleet. Apparently his Carillions didn't dodge much, and they got absolutely demolished within a very little amount of time. So big ass fleets are necessary to do the ruins at the higher level. Obviously, teamwork can mitigate a lot of this. If you go in with a good team, you can ignore some of these comments, because you could potentially, if you've got 4 or 5 players and they've all got CGIOs at a reasonable level, you could probably take on a 5, maybe even a 7 with just CGIOs at that point. So there is that possibility. But at the same time, as we saw earlier, if I collect, I got a 2-hour time. The guy that just helped me kill the platform's now going to wait for 2 hours before he can attack, and then I can help him. I've also lost ships to this point. It's going to take more losses. So I'm not sure how reasonable it is to say, okay, well, there's 4 or 5 of you, It'll be fine. We didn't get around to testing a 7 because we were struggling on 5s. So yeah. My opinion, Angulum needs a rework. How, I haven't quite worked out. If you got any ideas on making Angulum a better place, drop a comment down below and we'll look through them all and stuff like that. Maybe I'll send a post over to the devs with your comments and stuff like that. I do that quite regularly, by the way, so if there's any issues you have with the game, drop it down in the comments. The devs check my videos, I check my videos, and I do take stuff back in what people say to me. I take and I look at and I think about, and then I go back to the devs with them quite often. Especially at the moment, they are asking directly. Several of us, I believe, myself, Happy as well, have done interviews with the devs, trying to talk about issues with the game, balancing issues, free to play versus PvP, pay to play, and then the differences between like phase 1, phase 2 unions versus 7 or 8 union is it's massive. So we are working with the devs, hopefully, to bring you a better experience overall. Well, if they listen. So yeah, down in the comments down below, thoughts on Angulum, thoughts on game in general. Do that in any of the videos, don't care. I do try and read through comments as often as possible. Bit difficult working like full-time job and doing this and everything else, but I do try and get on there, and I do try and reply as often as possible as well when necessary. So have a good one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.